Well, a bipartisan bill is moving through the Tennessee legislature to raise the Shelby County sales tax by 1 percentage point. That will then go into funding a new jail. So let's look into a little bit of the breakdown of what that bill entails here. Now, 1 percentage point increase from 2.75% that it is currently to 3.75%. And that's that will estimate to generate $1.8 billion over 8 years max. And it's exclusively to fund a new jail. And this is bipartisan, so Representative John Gillespie, a Republican from Memphis, is on the House side of this. Senator Ramesh Akbari, Democrat Memphis, is on the Senate side of this. It did pass a committee, but still have a long way to go. It would still have to pass the county commission and then go on for voters to decide on a countywide referendum. 201 Poplar, we've had this topic a lot. It's in disrepair at this point. Do you all think this is the way to go? I'll start with you, Pastor Norman.
Two issues. It's in disrepair and it does need some help. I want to be clear on that. Taxation is not the way to go. When we look at the states around us, Memphis sits and Shelby County sits in the corner of the state of Tennessee. In Mississippi, we just got rid of income tax. It just became more attractive to move to North Mississippi. Marion continues to advertise on our airwaves about living in Arkansas. So let's think about what we're doing. We're pricing citizens out of a realistic way to get ahead with all of the taxes. We've had wheel tax, we've had a property tax increase in the city of Memphis. Now we're talking about increasing another percentage and taking it up. It's just not going to be feasible to live in this area if we keep taxing people out.
Not good to have another reason to move people out of Shelby County. Mark, what are your thoughts?
I spent 2 weeks ago Friday, I spent about an hour and a half walking through the jail, literally from the point of entry to when you depart. A couple things that I saw: no working air conditioning. Not only are there not vents in the old jail inside the cells, but there was no air throughout the entire building. Another thing I saw was standing water in the cells. I'm very passionate about people with mental health issues, so I wanted to see the mental health section. When I went to the mental health section, no ventilation, and the stench of feces and urine and standing water was absolutely overpowering. No previous mayor or county commission has ever wanted to invest in the jail. It's not disrepair now, it's replace the jail. It's that condition. My concern is, and again, I'm like you, Pastor, I don't want to see groceries go up for poor people in this community.
That's right.
But my other fear is if the feds come in and say this is not habitable for human beings, guess what happens? We get a federal decree and property taxes could go up 74 cents. That's what 74 cents equates to about $1.4 billion, which would it take to replace the jail. I don't have all the answers, but I will tell you this: we have 2,500 men down there. I've got a concern with the state. They have 200 state prisoners that they refuse to take from us, so we're handling state prisoners that are not our responsibility. And I think we're going to see, sadly, and I hate to say this, but I think we're going to see more deaths in the jail, and I think we're going to see more suicides in the jail.
Well, Otis, when it comes down to it, if it makes the countywide referendum, do you think voters will pass it?
It'll be a tough sale, Pepper, because, again, nobody wants to tax themselves. But I do think we need to at least have that conversation. I hope that the legislature passes their bill to allow the county commission to then pass it. I hope the county commission passes it with a lot of conversation, and then we have a robust discussion. It is regressive. One way to get around that is to take the tax off groceries.
Exactly.
The legislature should do that. But something has to happen here. I was a criminal justice reporter in 1981 when the jail opened, and we called it the Glamour Slammer. Well, the luster has worn off the Glamour Slammer now. And so something has to be done. I understand the problem here with taxing. But again, if we remove the tax on groceries, that'll help a lot here, because we are talking about a sales tax that will be extremely high. But I think something has to happen because we got to fix this.
Very regressive system, and even the people who are not incarcerated are being incarcerated financially. We need to make sure that we don't continue to tax poor people out of a good living in Shelby County. We need to send the people who, first of all, we have too many people who are incarcerated that shouldn't be.
Well,
we need to increase the mental health support that we need in Shelby County. And then we need to make sure that if there are 200 state or otherwise prisoners in our area, that that we're either being properly reimbursed for keeping them here or to
Absolutely.
make sure that they go to the places where they go. That's regressive on the citizens of this particular community. And then we ask them to raise taxes, and now what?
And we've literally got, Pepper, people with misdemeanors, with mental health issues. We probably have 700 people in jail this Sunday
Right.
who should not be too unpopular. Also, we just need to remind the viewers that, guess what? The sheriff doesn't own the jail. He operates the jail. Shelby County government and the county commissioners are responsible for that building, and that building is beyond disrepair.
Well, I don't know where the money's going to come from if it doesn't come from some kind of tax increase. It just can't be just manufactured out of thin air. I think it's going to take some awesome leadership. And we do have that in Rummage-Ackberry and in Gillespie,
Right.
to try to make that case once it ever gets, if it ever gets, to the voters in the form of a referendum. We have two good people down there who will lead that charge.
And what is that saying, too? Because I feel like there's so much that legislatures disagree on, but to see this as bipartisan support after hearing Sheriff Bonner really advocate and campaign for jail repairs, what do you all say about the teamwork of getting behind this legislation?
I think it's just what Mark said. The jail is atrocious.
Yeah.
And
Just
once
seeing
you
it.
see that,
It's a human rights condition.
It's a human
Most certainly,
rights
it's a
condition.
human rights condition,
Yeah.
but it's also an appearance to be tough on crime. And this idea of a jail does not equate to being tough on crime.
No, it doesn't.
Jail is where you go after you have either committed a crime or you're being incarcerated for mental health. And we said this many
Right.
years ago
We
under the
did.
Luttrell administration. We cannot arrest our way out of this problem, and that's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Again, it's a heavy lift for this county, and we've got to pay attention to it. It's going to affect every taxpayer in this county, and they may get an opportunity to vote on it. But my concern is something doesn't happen, our choices as voters are going to be taken away, and the feds are going to come in. And we faced this previously in our history when the jail was under federal order, and Mark Luttrell had to deal with that. And that is not the place that this county wants to be in.
Okay. All right. Well, we had a couple more minutes, but I guess you all wrapped that one up. Any lasting thoughts?
Can I say one thing?
Yes,
Because I
please.
think we all agree on this. Kudos to everyone at this station on the weather reports that literally went on for 24 hours. And I think that's true of all the news stations. A lot of people put themselves in harm's way this week and really went above and beyond all of our first responders. And as Pastor said, we had flooding throughout Shelby County, but a lot of people really stepped up. But it certainly identified those issues that we've got to work on.
I think it's about prioritizing a lot of our dollars. We use a lot of money for things that look good and feel good,
Yep.
but living conditions, especially for people who live in the inner city and the prison population, these things have been neglected for far too long. We've had an infrastructure problem with water in Memphis. This is not the first flood. We lost a life last year or year prior
We sure
in
did.
a flood. And so we have time to address these issues.
All right.
I just hope that we stop the bickering, stop the political division, because when things like this happen, it affects everybody. And we need all parties to come together to solve it.
Perfect. I knew you guys could fill that last bit of time. And on that note, thank you all for joining us. We'll see you again next week for ABC24 This Week.